Hi, it's Mike from Cloud Data Consulting. I'm here with Nate and Jack from our partner, Syncari, and we're here to learn more about the Syncari solution and where it fits and how it can help clients. Quick intro about Cloud Data Consulting. We're a Denver-based services company. We do data engineering, analytics, and MDM and governance, and we use a variety of technologies. We are very strong in data engineering, particularly, and we use these tools constantly, have partnerships with all of them, and we're pretty deep in Snowflake. That's our favorite cloud data warehouse. We're on our 19th Snowflake project, so we're pretty deep in that, and we can help you on any of these tools, how to save money, how to eliminate runaway usage costs, etc. So we're here today to talk about Syncari. Syncari is a data synchronization platform. It specifically helps with all things MDM and data governance. And I'm here with Nate and Jack. We're going to learn more about it. Nate, you want to kick off with an introduction?
Yeah, I'm Nate Roybal. I'm Director of Partnerships and Go-to-Market Strategy here at Syncari, which essentially means I talk to people about the cool stuff Syncari does, and sometimes they buy Syncari to do that. But I'm here today to talk to Mike and Jack about the market and what I think we're doing that's special in it.
And then, hi, I'm Jack. I'm the lead sales or solutions engineer over here, depending on how you want to describe it. Largely, my responsibilities: product fit, figuring out how Sync is going to work for you guys, and ultimately deciding what's the best case and best way to tackle MDM strategy inside your org. So super excited to be, again, working with Mike here on this and hopefully bring you some information on who we are.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate that. And again, I'm Mike Watson. I'm Director of Business Development at Cloud Data Consulting, and I manage our partnerships and work with clients. And all of our contact info is here. So let's start off. I wanted to ask you guys first, maybe this is a good one for Nate. Why don't you summarize what Syncari is exactly in a nutshell?
Yeah, it is kind of like what people think of as a modern data warehouse with connectors around the outside. But for most people, what that means is clean data everywhere that matches. Maybe the elusive customer 360 we've all heard in the past. Single source of truth is kind of an ugly word, but we're definitely trying to achieve a distributed source of truth where every system you have matches, you can trust it. And what that really means for the business is that everybody in each department and each system can trust that the data they're working off of is the most current data and can drive the right customer experiences and the right lead experiences, any other thing they want to do based on that data set.
Got it. So I first thought of Syncari as an MDM product, and having some familiarity with MDM programs and data governance through, and the processes involved in establishing a data culture. Does it handle all the traditional components of what you might think of as an MDM program?
I would say 100%, right? It's actually our main go-to-market strategy is around master data management 3.0. This idea that it's the next generation trying to do a little bit more, largely to Nate's point. But the things you're familiar with master data, things like data pipelining, ability to do data catalog, governance, data completeness, authority, et cetera, all of those pieces you'll find in the codeless view within Syncari's core platform. And funny enough, almost before we were talking about this, Mike mentioned this idea that Syncari is a bit of a go-to-market Trojan horse that allows you to master your data secretly. And I think that's a great example of the kinds of things we're going after here.
So
Yeah, and I mean, more on that Trojan horse idea, I think that it's really interesting to kind of think about it in that lens, because what we see is like a lot of business people being unable to really own data in any meaningful way, right? Which also means that the IT team has to serve them all the time. And neither of them really end up happy in that scenario.
So it effectively doesn't really replace all the data pipelining that might be set up in the traditional data dump kind of ETL kind of mode. It doesn't replace all the heavy volumes that you're going to need to move for all of your data sources and all of your data potentially into your cloud data database.
I agree, right? I think every company is a bit different, and their strategy and ways they want to go about solving things varies drastically from user to company to leader, et cetera. In fact, Mike, you know this better than a lot of people in that, Syncari is no stranger to being a partner in multiple types of environments. We can either work together with all sorts of ETL and warehousing tools, or Syncari can take on some of the bulk, depending on the way that people want to strategize around it. So to your point, right, certainly we can do some ETL type work, and we're no stranger to it. We do it often, but there are cases and situations where the legacy, the stuff in place, the time, sweat, blood, and tears people have put into building these structures are likely, best left alone, and Syncari can work with and around it.
So who should care the most about your product? Is it the MDM and data governance program people, or like a master data manager in title, or is it someone who might be like closer to like RevOps, or like in a self-service analytics team that's responsible for providing analytics with fresh data to those teams needing that data like almost real time, but more than what pipelining from IT can deliver?
We usually see it actually fall into one of those two categories first and then the other later. Whether we want to start with an MDM strategy and then work towards the go-to-market team after, or the other way around. At the end of the day, our largest strategy is trying to actually tie business value and core pieces back to the MDM strategy people are putting in place. What we see often enough, whether people have master data tools in their org today, or if they're just thinking about strategy, being able to let the go-to-market teams activate, handle, use, and make value out of that data is often something left to the side. And so our core purpose is to allow the IT and data users to build their core models, governed and controlled the way they see fit, while still remaining and giving access to those go-to-market users that can actually leverage and drive net new revenue decisions based off said data.
Yeah, and I would add to that a little bit by saying, I see Syncari as the ultimate enablement tool, right? Whether you're in IT and you need to build for business processes that are large in scope, big data projects, big reporting, bring in new data sets, build net new integrations, all that typically painful stuff. Or you're on the business side and you need to build reporting for your team, or reporting for a specific customer base, or reporting to do a segmentation, right? Or you need to go do something like a lead routing scenario, or just understand, which campaigns are working effectively that day, right? And potentially automate against changing to the ones that are working better, right? So I think like throughout like the technology evolution, we've seen kind of like this ebb and flow between IT and business, where business doesn't really have the ability to manage their own process, but IT doesn't really understand it. And I think that as we get more into low code, no code, we're seeing the ability to bridge that gap between those two very typically disparate groups. And Syncari does a great job of that.
Seems like any company with multi CRM instances is going to be a potential user, because whether or not they've solved all their data synchronous or data pipelining problems, or have worked out their entire data architecture, they need those multiple CRMs synced and the data correct in terms of master data that can be then utilized by the people that need that data every day.
That's right. And I think you'll actually, funny enough, if you go to our website, you'll find a couple of webinars that a combination of Nate and myself have done on why Syncari is just the best tool for multi-CRM situations.
Got it. Well, so AI is on everyone's minds and hyped all over the place. So what role does AI play in your product? Because I saw obviously the synapses are similar to extractors from a data source standpoint, but I see AI sprinkled throughout your literature. Tell us what actual role the AI realistically plays in the product.
I'll leave plenty of room for Nate here because he's our resident AI guy in the org. But I will say, some of the stuff that exists in the product today and some of where we're going, right? Out of the box, if we take it back to our conversation on who Syncari is for, and that ability to collaborate and work in Syncari, no matter where you are in the organization, we have auto-generated documentation, so making change management a lot easier. Any data pipeline or workflow you build within Syncari has the ability to have a documentation generated directly on it to make it a bit easier to track and understand. You can also leverage your own LLM model, whether it's made in Claude, GPT, or otherwise, plug it directly into Syncari via our external connectors, and allow you to use the model you've already trained and spent time on within your workflow environment. Think of it in cases for fuzzy matching, address validation, text parsing, et cetera, or you can always use the off-the-shelf versions like GPT-3 or 4, et cetera. One other thing that we actually just recently released is our data visualization component of the product now has a natural language learning model where you can plainly type text out to build out a visualization that you want to see. So if you've loaded your data into that visualization and you can write a short natural language query, such as show me, top revenue for my highest reps over the past 2 quarters, you can produce that visualization automatically directly on top of that. So all in short, Mike, is I think AI will continue to be an engrossing and increasing process of the Syncari layer. And as people want to build better data quality, better data governance rules on the highest quality data set in the org, we'll see that increasingly get larger and larger as pieces in the Syncari platform.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I think that there's kind of twofold there, right? There's one, okay, how are we bringing AI into the platform and using it within our product to help quality of life, help people do things better, right? And then there's the other piece is like, how are we helping people use AI in their own business and for their own processes, right? And I think that they're both very, very interesting. I'm a little more focused on the latter just because I'm not really the guy building product here, but I'm definitely the guy that's off trying to solve problems for customers, right? And regularly we have customers that are trying to figure out how to plug in AI models today. And almost universally, no one has an answer. And it's basically because they don't have good data. And if they don't have good data that they can consistently feed to a model that they can get outputs from that make sense and tell them things that they can do, that they can actually take action on. Syncari is a layer that can do that. And over the next 2 or 3 years, my thought is we will be seeing Syncari be a pretty big hub for AI models that are very specific, right? To do things between applications, on top of data sets, make decisions, help people do things better, faster, cheaper, more intelligently. And I think Syncari is really well positioned to do that. And so I'm excited about the future with AI.
Yeah, we'll be excited to dive into more detail on that AI and how it's affecting your growth and within the product. So that'll be an interesting downstream type of topic for another video. What do you think partners can really do to help clients not only like learn about Syncari, perhaps with a POC, but also once a company is moving forward with it in terms of like getting success off the bat with it? Like I think right away to my company, Cloud Data Consulting, what we do is a lot of jump starts. Like we have a Snowflake one where we have scripts that were done in Terraform to provision a Snowflake instance, handle all the security and all the config setup. Tell us about the config and setup of your product and anything else that partners can do to really add value and help clients get moving.
You can actually get a lot of the same things that you just mentioned within the Syncari product. We have a couple of features called fragments and quick starts, which allow you to spin up standardized templates of the workflows, automations, and master data solutions you've done in Syncari. Build it once and redeploy across all of the customers you're working with. So that is an option. You can also work with our embed model, which Nate actually leads as well, which is the ability to actually redeploy and rebuild your processes largely across multiple customers inside of your same instance. So if you have a typical service as a partner that solves 1, 2, or 3 specific problems, you can actually templatize all of those pieces on Syncari to avoid having to reinvent the wheel every single time.
So that gets really interesting really fast, especially if you're a big enterprise company where you maybe have to do things in a repeatable way. Hey, we have 500 events we do a year and we need to regularly ingest leads in a different way across regions, across teams, across enrichment tools and tool sets, right? Or maybe you are acquiring companies on a regular basis. Like you mentioned, Mike, we want to bring in new CRMs, right? And so can we template that, right? And reduce the time, right? And we've seen people reduce the time as much as like 80%, right? And these are things that cost millions and millions of dollars to do every year, right? So I think like the really interesting piece is that fragmented piece to do things like specialized features and functions and building apps on top of the functionality of Syncari to do really interesting things is a really emerging piece for us. So we even see partners, on the typical side that wouldn't be software, like Cloud Data Consulting, going off and building applications and putting them on the App Store, right? Or using Syncari to manage all the frontline integrations for their tools, right? If a customer needs to integrate with their tool, they use Syncari because it lowers complexity and they can repeated across customers without having to worry about architecture. So there's multiple kind of pieces that this kind of modular framework and the really good low code ability we've built on top of some very technical capabilities in the platform give us.
And I think the last thing I'll mention is it'd be a complete miss for me to neglect the fact that we are a customer-led company. So if you have questions, if there's things that you want to see in the product, you can always reach out to Nate, myself, or anybody else here, and we're more than happy to see what we can do to help out.
Can clients get a POC to, or like a pilot where they can test it out for a period of, couple of months, whatever is appropriate time frame? I mean, something that obviously Cloud Data Consulting does a lot of POCs, but I'm curious what clients should they do that first, or does that make sense? And is it easily done?
Yeah, I mean, I think that any company should, kicking on any project with data, they need to sit down and kind of think about what they want to do, right? And I think companies like Cloud Data Consulting are really, really good for that, right? That's why we work with partners like you folks, right? Because whereas we might know our tool set, right, we do not know your data, right? And a lot of times a partner needs to come in and help people figure out what their data is. The really good thing about Syncari is once you figured it out and you plugged it all in, it's a whole lot easier to go forward, right? And that's what Syncari gives you. It gives you that baseline, right? And you can work with partners that really, really understand this stuff, or even people on your IT team and partners, or whatever, that really, really understand this stuff. And then once it's set up, it kind of just works forever, right? And that's what's really powerful.
Yeah, no, I mean, we think it's a fantastic tool. And I mean, we're used to dealing with some really serious plumbing issues with data that gets really nitty gritty. And I mean, we're actually excited about a product that can bring value quickly to clients and really start delivering fresh data quickly. That doesn't take as much. I mean, we're not, even despite the fact that we're in the business of data engineering, we're not fans of long, drawn out processes that take forever. We want to get value in the hands of clients because that's what, brings back more business, is getting these projects successfully delivering value from the data. And that's everyone's current nightmare, is staying afloat in a sea and ocean of data everywhere all the time. So it's an interesting thing that we're trying to tackle here together.
No,
Any-
sorry, go ahead. So good.
No, I was just trying to think of anything else hot in the product that you wanted to bring up, mention. I mean, we brought up AI. We've, talked about where it fits in the landscape in different departments and roles. Anything new that's really been, exciting since you've been out at conferences lately and out and about at events?
Yeah, I'll go first. Just because I'm excited right now about so I mean, Jack mentioned the NLP stuff and the ability to make data sets, but I just like to harp on that because I think it's really, really interesting, is this ability. We connect all your data, it's cleaned. Then you ask a question. How many customers did I get today that are in this segment? It builds the segment for you. You can drag and drop that segment right into a pipeline to put them in campaigns, route them, score them, whatever you want to do. No code, no munging, no segmentation, no data work at all, right? And that becomes really, really interesting. And I think we're only going to see more and more of that as more of these modular pieces get built, more of these specialized AI tools get built that we can plug against those data sets. And it's just going to keep going faster.
Yeah, I think, to expand on Nate's point, conversely, to solve a similar problem, there's also the full ability to build all of your queries just out of a SQL command or a SQL query directly within Syncari's product. And I think what I'm trying to articulate is that we continue to add features that support both your technical and non-technical users to achieve similar outcomes. We harp a lot that one of our biggest value propositions is it's the best place to do master data regardless of your technical expertise. And we continue to build towards that, right? I think alongside this feature Nate's talking about, some of the things that we've recently done are rebuilt the strength of our looping functionality and workflows. Not the most exciting for business users, but our technical users who want to iterate through objects find that super exciting. If we talk about what's on the horizon, we're looking at updating our access management suite, expanding that to allow more capabilities for user governance and ensuring who has access to what within the platform, but also expanding and rebuilding actually our UI to offer both options, our traditional value that we see today that's really accessible to our go-to-market users, but providing some more technical based in approach UI that is more familiar to our technical users as well. So even the UI down to every detail is modularized for your specific level of technical expertise.
Guys, this has been great. I'm so excited to hear about the new stuff with Syncari. I'd love to capture all these conversations about how the product can be most valuable to clients. And we're eager to help clients get started with this, with your product and really make sense of all that data that we're all stuck in. So thanks again. This has been amazing. And I can't wait to do more videos and talk more with Syncari. Appreciate it very much, guys. Have a great afternoon.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Mike, it's always a pleasure.